All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to tonight's live stream. We are going to be doing another Ask, or not Ask a Witch, Witches React. And I have a lovely guest with me on the stream tonight. So go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Estradia. I was here last week when we started this little series.
Yes, and you also popped on last night
I
to
did.
like our random casual live stream Kiki.
I did.
We are actually friends in real life, by the way, too.
We are, yes.
Um, so per it being the season of the witch, we're gonna continue from like our stream from last week, where last week we were essentially looking at evangelical testimonials, kind of using the archetype of the witch to prophesize and evangelize. And often, in my opinion, these sermons are completely fraudulent. Like, I feel, and I'm sure Australia, you can speak on this yourself too, but like I feel like a lot of times for those of us that really are serious practitioners can see right through the charade. Like some of the things that they're saying, just it's like they're saying a whole lot without really saying anything at all, honestly.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It's very that. Um, like that one woman from last week, Diana, she was like, I was a gifted spiritual medium at the age of 10. And it's like, okay, girl.
A professional medium.
Professional medium at the age
Yeah.
of 10. And like she was like, I'd summon familiars and demons and all this other stuff. And it's like, at 10?
At
Okay,
10.
girl.
Yeah. So it's cringe. I think it's cringe that, they're almost kind of using us as an archetype for them to evangelize.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I also want to point out too that I personally have been a practicing witch now for about a decade, give or take. Never once have I ever even met one single witch that has this personal vendetta and agenda against Christians. Like, literally not once. I've met witches who have Abrahamic trauma. I've met witches who have been victimized by the church. I've not met witches who are sitting up over their altar, moon cycle after moon cycle, trying to lead Christians astray, praying that they fall from grace or out of the church or any of that. Have you, Australia?
I mean, I think the only time I can say I ever met any witch who had anything against the church, I think it would have been like in high school with my friends who were like casually interested in witchcraft and hated Christianity. But most of the like legit witches that I know are pretty respectful of
Yeah.
like Christians. Like my mom is a Christian and I'm respectful of her beliefs. She's respectful of mine. Like, she
Yeah.
doesn't want me to pray to like Lucifer while I'm at the dinner table, but
You know.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't think that it's like talk about spiritual warfare an awful lot, and I don't think it's really a two-way war, babes. Like, in order for it to really be a battle, like you need to have both sides that are like engaging in this warfare, and like it's very much one-sided. Very much one-sided. So, we had started watching a tape last week. Halloween warning from an ex-witch. Okay. And then she says herself, warning, heavy talk. Now, I will kind of also give a disclaimer here that we are going to be talking about like Abrahamic trauma, SA surviving sort of themes. Like some of these testimonies might have some heavy or triggering stuff, and some of what we're going to be critiquing and talking about also might have some heavy stuff. So, like, while this is like a fun kind of like kiki live stream, there's definitely some heavy elements to this as well. So just kind of keep that in mind. Like, if you're not really in the headspace for this kind of foolery tonight, that is totally okay. We appreciate the support, and you can hop on over to another video. We had a much more casual live stream last night. looking at the season of the Witch Oracle. So, go check that out or go check out another video. And before we get started, I also want to say that Australia and I have been tossing back and forth this sort of idea, per it being the darker half of the year, about us restarting up the podcast again as the Cauldron Bubbles. I had Australia as a pretty regular guest on my podcast last year, but instead of starting the podcast back up, because I'm like, babes, we got like 2 seasons of that. Do I do a third? Is that just like, do we just let it, you know what I mean? Instead, I kind of pitched this idea and I was like, what if we did weekly live shows together? So you let us know what you would rather have content wise. Would you rather us make another podcast series to be released maybe like early in the year next year? Or would you rather see us like once a week and us do something here, whether it's witches react to, whether it's just us having like a casual kiki once a week or taking, your guys' suggestions for our stream, whatever. Let us know.
And let us know what we should call it.
Yes, that too. We need a name. Mm-hmm. Hello, Lady Blind Wolf, Blood, Haley Hayden, Kelly Griffiths, Kitty, Jen Jeannie, Kelly, L, Nocturnal, Ewe, Dominic. Hello, everyone.
Hi, everybody.
Haley Hayden says, I like the weekly stream idea. It's nice to get to hang out with you guys. We are also friends in real life as well. So, Elle says, I will take whatever, down for all of it. Hi, Darlene. Hi, baby. Okay. I like the live once a week, but your podcast was great too. I mean, we could really be doing both. Hello. Okay. So we're gonna get started in our action video. Like Australia said, give us some ideas of what you would like our show to be called. Okay. Also, grab yourself a snack, grab a beverage. I am drinking kind of this concoction. It's fruit punch Gatorade, but I've also, because I'm a godless heathen, have mixed 2 Buck Chuck sweet red winking owl in my Gatorade. It's very classy. Everything we do over here is extremely classy and professional. So that's what I'm drinking. What are you drinking, Australia?
I'm drinking a Pepsi Zero Sugar. There's nothing in it. It's just Pepsi.
And by Pepsi, she means straight vodka.
Exactly.
Panda Express sounds really good. Okay, so let me make sure that I also share this with audio too. Let me not be cringe.
But cringe is kind of our brand.
True. Okay. Share audio.
Jen, I have tried Coca-Cola Black back in the day, and it's basically the same thing. It's pretty good. Coke and coffee go really well together.
Oh, I've never had that. All right, you guys ready? So the first tape that we're looking at here is by Jesus is Truth. We are not going to be looking at any of the Christian Broadcasting Network stuff. We're going to be looking at this creator today, and we're going to be following up with this video that is actually kind of long. It's about 25 minutes, and we're only 5 minutes and 21 seconds into it. And she is letting us know from an ex-witch's perspective, warning, heavy talk, all about Halloween. Okay? So let's get into it.
Always to me as a child that no child should open. And I was so nervous.
Can you guys hear this? Everyone can hear it? Okay, good.
I used to sleep at night time with the bed covers over me with a tiny hole to be able to breathe out of because I was so terrorized. I used to count every word that I said on my fingers. it was like a nervous twitch, and if I said enough words to have a space on this finger, then I was good, and then if I didn't, I was condemned. And there was just so much for my small child mind to deal with when I'd opened up that can of worms of witchcraft and magic. It's real. And believe me, you don't want to be in a place where you get involved in that frivolously and sillily and then end up realizing, what have I got involved in? So I, as a child, threw away and burnt my tarot cards. I mean, I did tarot readings when I was...
I need to interject already.
Yes.
So I just gotta say, if you're going to get involved in any kind of occult practice, if you're going to invest time and energy into a magical practice, perhaps don't be surprised when stuff happens.
Oh yeah, that's another big common theme that we have with these sort of testimonies, is that they start dabbling in some really serious, heavy occult stuff, and then really serious occult stuff allegedly happens, and then they get super freaked out and run to Jesus, and suddenly everything is fixed. They never really explain in great detail what exactly they're doing. Also, broken homes, substance abuse, SA, all of those things are normally kind of like per the course for these sort of testimonials.
Yeah.
Okay.
Little. I was involved in so much of the occult at such a young age, and all I can remember being an influence on me for dark things was, me and a friend who practiced witchcraft together, we would go and see this lady, and she was a Buddhist, and we would go to her.
Not a Buddhist. Now that's really some heavy stuff there.
The thing I want to know is, she says she was into so much witchcraft when she was young. How much witchcraft or occult activity could she have been doing at a young age? Like, what does she think a lot of occult activity is? Like, can we have some context?
I will say that I remember being like a young lass in high school, or no, earlier than that. This would have been probably junior high actually. And the first time I had met someone, like the first time I really had been exposed to Wicca per se, there was this girl in my class who like was Wiccan, and like I just thought that was the coolest thing. Allegedly, I don't know, her mom was Wiccan as well, which now as adults we've kind of like reconnected again, and like I don't believe that she is practicing herself, but her mom was. And I remember the school had like this directory book where you could find your friends' like telephone numbers and you could call them up. I don't know if your guys' school had that, but we had like a directory so you could call people that you knew, and like this is also back when like the phone was connected to the wall, and like you would have to talk to someone's parents first and be like, hey, can Laura hop on the phone? Can I talk to Laura? Or like, you can be on the internet at the same time, or like people's parents or your parents would like hop on the phone and be like, you need to get off the phone. It's 10 p.m. It's school night. Anyway, I remember calling her because I was like, we need to do a popularity spell. Like I thought that was like a thing. And I was like talking to her. This is me in like 7th grade, mind you. Or like, I was like, we should tell like breakup spell. Like this is me in like 7th grade talking to this like Wiccan, which she wasn't necessarily, but her mom was a practicing Wiccan. And I just thought that was like, I don't know, not my first experience and exposure to like, I would say folkloric sort of magic, but that was my first memory of like a Wiccan, like acknowledging this as like a religion.
Like the girls that I went to school with that were witches were like, one, they had watched The Craft one too many times. Not to like...
Or just once.
Like, not to shit on The Craft or anything like that. I love that movie. But like, these girls were like witchy mean girls. And they're like, if you cross us, we'll make your hair fall out.
Yeah.
Those were the kind of girls I went to school with that were witches.
Yeah. A lot of like the other girls who I was friends with the edgelords as an edgelord myself. So, I mean, it was mostly like a lot of just very cringe, edgelordy, fringe behavior. Okay, let's get back into the gig, you guys.
And I think we were around 6, and we would go to this Buddhist's house, and this was kept from my memory for a very long time.
So she's
and
making this up,
we would do rituals
probably.
with prayer beads and saying mantras, Buddhist mantras. I didn't know what I was saying. I think I tried to find it, and it was something about nature worship, and I mean that's where I ended up going. So I had the influence of a lady doing a ritual. I had influence of things like Halloween.
Right.
I remember me and my friend would make gravestones, as in like paper ones, and stick them on the wall
Well, that's kind
on
of cute.
Halloween night and sleep like this.
That's
and
kind of cute.
you know, just we were so consumed with the darkness. We were so silly as well, because when you're a child, you don't know what you're messing with. You really don't. And if you have parents that don't know that magic exists, they are lulled to sleep as well by the devil, whilst the devil takes their children. And this is why I'm talking about Halloween and that I've got this heavy burden, because that was my childhood with magic. Then
So wait.
I got rid of all those things.
Right.
So wait. Okay, so her and her friends went to a lady who was a Buddhist.
Right.
And the Buddhist lady
did rituals, and they used prayer beads about worshiping nature.
The lady would do Buddhist mantra using a mala. And to her, so she basically is equating Buddhism to witchcraft.
Right. At 6 years old.
Right.
Oh, and then also don't forget cutting out paper tombstones and sleeping like this.
I mean, girl, that's how I sleep now.
I'm a side sleeper personally. Also, shout out to Hale, one of my coven mates who got me a pregnancy pillow for my birthday. No, y'all, I'm not pregnant. If I was pregnant, I better be on every talk show. Okay. But a pregnancy pillow, let me just say, it has really stepped my sleep game up. Highly recommend.
Mm-hmm. Pregnancy pillows are dope. But she's not said what she's done. It's basically like, yeah, we did spooky stuff on Halloween, and like we knew this Buddhist lady because I was into so much witchcraft. And it was scary. Okay.
Also, Kitty, I love that you point this out. So many people in these videos are wearing the same hat. It's like a circle hat, you guys. And there was someone on the stream before who was like, it's a circle hat with no corners for the devil to hide in.
I love that.
I think Hale said that. Oh, goodness. Yeah. So 6 years old,
done all the occult,
all the occult, you know, basically saying prayers to nature and cutting out paper tombstones and sleeping like this.
I mean, 100% that's witchcraft. Totally.
You know, when I was at the blind school, we had nap time, and one time it was at Halloween. Guess she was practicing witch too because she wrapped us up like mummies. Maybe.
And then I went as a young adult, probably around 16, so a teenager. I got involved in what I thought was white magic, and what I thought was I was a light worker. That's what I called myself.
Cringe. I cannot stand cringe.
She was a light worker.
The New Age community, toxic. The whole concept of a light worker, toxic. Also, it's like this much of a step away to me from just neo-Nazism.
Yeah, any of those like light worker, white lighter, good vibes only, like it's not giving.
It's not.
Inside, I was like, I'm a light worker. I'm here to. Oh, you don't even want to know what I believed. It was so.
Oh, girl, what was it though?
Are you a starseed?
And so
She's supposed to be
I
telling us, though.
got involved in tarot readings again.
Oh, God, tarot
As
readings.
in doing them. Consulting.
There we go. That's always a theme,
runes,
too. Divination.
Anyway, I just was involved in magic again, witchcraft again, but it was repackaged into something that was light and was good, and it's to help people. And wow, was I wrong. The enemy chewed me up and spat me out. I was in this place of utter brokenness after I got involved with yoga.
No, she's not. No, she's not about to say she got involved with yoga. Like, as like, this is so giving Doreen virtue sort of vibes. Like,
It's like, this woman does not know what witchcraft is, obviously.
oh my gosh, Kelly, light workers are Christians with extra steps. Kind of, yeah.
Kind of.
Like Christians with like crystals, cherry-picked Hinduism of like reincarnation, a misunderstanding of karma, not including dharma whatsoever, subjugating other cultures' gods, but putting Jesus above all of them, the ascended masters, blonde hair, blue-eyed, like cockaloid angels. Never like seraphim or anything like that. Like white Jesus angels, basically.
Also, I agree, Nocturnal. Her using the term the enemy was pretty funny. Who is the enemy?
Us, apparently.
I guess. Just out here sending demons into people's living rooms through Hocus Pocus, you know?
How recent is this video? The poor thing would probably drop to the ground if she knew that Christian practice witchcraft, that there are Christian witches. This video was posted October 29th, 28th of 2021. So this video is just from last year. Some of the other stuff we were reacting to on the Christian Broadcasting Network, I mean, some of that was from the Satanic Panic era of like the 90s. So like not super surprising. But like this is still like the Satanic Panic is still here. It didn't end with the 90s. I actually shared this in a TST forum for Indiana that I'm in, because while I myself am not necessarily a Satanist, I'm a practicing witch, and I don't know if I necessarily, you know, if we agree on everything, but I do, like, I have a lot of satanic friends. They're great people. We've had philosophical conversations, and like I kind of feel like there's a similar struggle bus like here between witches and Satanists, because they're using both of these archetypes of the satanic witch to really propagate what they're doing. So, okay, let's see what she has to say about yoga.
Yoga, meditation, psychedelic drugs. Yeah, all of these things whilst doing ritualistic things, and
like what?
There's just so much that I could go into, but I don't want to focus too much on all of that. But
you don't want to focus too much on it? You don't want to focus too much on it, but you made a 25-minute long video about the evils of Halloween. Like,
and she's barely talked about Halloween other than paper tombstones and sleeping like a vampire.
Yeah.
Which, as a cottagecore vampire, feels racist.
Also, like, she hasn't even really talked about any real occult stuff she was doing. She meditated. She practiced mindfulness. She apparently dabbled in a little bit of yoga. She said some Buddhist prayers. She pulled tarot cards. Sounds like very just run-of-the-mill, basic
white
witch.
Spiritualism.
Yeah.
It's like when a white person tells you that they're spiritual.
This is it. This is what you see.
This lady.
With the hat and everything.
In this hat. With her dry hair.
Bless her heart. And let me make this clear for everyone too, and let me make this clear for YouTube. I am not sending any hate to this creator, okay? We are critiquing the body of work. No hate to this person. I don't want anyone going over there and harassing this person, okay? We're critiquing the body of work. And I agree, Haley. I agree. The enemy came and forced their free drugs into her system for a practice she has yet explained. Pretty much. Yeah. Okay.
By the end of it, I was, I was friends with Satanists, I was friends with shamans, I was friends with Druids, I was friends with Wiccans, I was friends.
All of them great people.
With, pretty much people that thought they were really fairies. I was like friends with like pretty much even physicists that would explain away reality. I was friends with all realms of magic and basically different forms of the occult.
Okay.
And I just thought it was all, different ways that people experience reality and different ways that people have their own walks, and everyone's truth was subjective, and I had no idea. I was lost, completely lost. And I was going to be someone to advocate for ayahuasca down in Cornwall. I had friends with shame.
Oh my gosh, of course. Very much white spirituality. Very much that.
They do be loving their ayahuasca, though.
Yes. And like fetishizing indigenous practices.
Yeah.
Shaman energy healers up in Glastonbury, and they wanted me to be an advocate for the rituals down in Cornwall, gathering basically a coven, gathering a group of people together.
Girl, basically a coven. Hold on, let's not just skip over that. Not basically a coven.
Also, like, first of all, she's throwing the word shaman around a lot.
Shaman's love.
And
shamans.
I doubt she knows the root of that word. But also, if she was, like, the thing of it is all these people that she's talking about, like Satanists, okay, maybe she knew some Satanists, yoga instructors, Buddhists, if she knew Druids, okay.
Physicists. She was hanging out with physicists.
But, like, none of these people categorically are necessarily witches.
Right.
And at no point has she spoken about any witchcraft other than like maybe tarot, and tarot isn't inherently a witchcraft thing. It's inherently divination, but it's not inherently witchcraft. So basically, and people in the comment section have said this in the chat, that like basically she's just doing the runaround. Like,
and this is exactly what they do. They use these buzzwords. They talk about their SA and SH sort of background and trauma.
Mm-hmm.
They throw around it's never usually any other divination tool but tarot, because like that's the most popular buzzwordy. This is all very per the course, per the script. Like,
but like, I mean, the thing we've noticed, and we've pointed this out a couple times, is like all of these videos seem to follow a very similar format, where it's like they were very young, they got involved in all kinds of occult, which is never explained.
Ever.
But they got involved in the occult. Something scary happened, and then it was bad. But they were like in it at a very young age, like
deep in it.
Like, let me tell. Okay, so a little backstory about me. I may not look it. I'm almost 40. I've been practicing witchcraft for well over 20 years. And when I was a kid, like I was involved in, I had an interest in witchcraft, but I can't say I was involved deeply in it. There was an occult store in the town that I grew up in. I would go to like Wicca 101 classes, and that's about it. Like, being surrounded by all these people, like some of these people in these videos have talked about, seems highly unlikely, especially as a child, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yes, absolutely.
It's just all real sus.
Highly.
Do energy healing and ayahuasca and psychedelics and different things to alter your mind. So I have a little bit of experience in all of these things. Now, when I came to the Lord,
oh, here we go.
it's very simple. There is the kingdom of light and the kingdom of darkness. You're either with Jesus or you're not with Jesus. And it
See
made
how they do
everything
that?
so much, well, everything
wait.
made sense finally, because I had the eyes of Christ, and I realized just
It was too complicated for her. She couldn't get it. It was too complicated. Christianity was easier. It's not that it made more sense. It was just easier for her to understand. It required less effort. So maybe she did get into witchcraft for a little bit. Who knows? Maybe she did. And maybe she tried a little spell and it didn't work. And she was like, well, that's poo. I'm going to go be a Christian now.
I'm not buying that she was ever a witch, you guys.
Me either. I'm just saying, like, maybe she tried a thing and
Maybe.
she was hoping the magic would work and it didn't. And she got real butthurt. So she went to Jesus and she said, Jesus, my magic didn't work. Will you help me?
She said, Jesus, fix it. Fix it.
Jesus, fix my life. It's full of shamans and druids.
And physicists.
And physicists.
Just what I was involved in. Just what I was going involved in. And sorry, I get quite passionate about it because it's really, it causes me a lot of I think it's righteous anger, because there's so many people caught up in all of this that just think it's to help improve themselves and to improve the way that they treat others and to bring peace. And it's a false peace. It's a false peace. And the end of that is despair. Now, why am I talking about all of this? I'm talking about all of this in regards to Halloween, because Halloween is a festival, a celebration, a time. Really, it's a massive spell night, a massive night of incantation and ceremonial. You know, like, if you're involved in all of that stuff, you wait till this night for special and specific purposes.
Not really.
Now,
hold on. What?
Speak on it.
It's a holiday, babes. And like, there's things that we do for the holiday, which, one, let's also say too, not all witches like even work with the Wheel of the Year in their practice. Like, there are plenty of folk witches that's not a tea for them whatsoever. And like, Halloween itself is also like fairly secular. And I think that a lot of us, like, you know, here in the West, like, we kind of like dressing up and candy, like carving pumpkins. Like, there's a lot of secularness to it. And I know that there's older roots. You know, if you guys are on my Patreon, we've been doing a lot with like Jack of the Lantern over there. And there's older elements to this, but like, there are so many people that are just really secularly observing Halloween.
Do you think she's in the camp of when Halloween rolls around, the witches are cursing the candy?
I hope so.
I sure hope she is.
I hope so. It's also giving very much like, I'm not putting free drugs to give out candy. Like,
she's the kind of woman who would tell her kids that people put razor blades in apples.
Right. Who's giving away perfectly good razor blades, for one?
Right.
Yeah, no, I don't know. Like, there are certain things that personally I do, either with the coven or as a solitary witch in my practice during Samhain, like having a dumb supper.
Mm-hmm.
That's something that is very Samhain Halloween for me. I don't do that other times of year.
Yeah, like, I revere my ancestors, but I do that all the time anyway.
Same. Like, I keep an altar for my mother up all year long, but during the season of dead and the season of the witch, pretty much from after the autumnal equinox, really through even like our American Thanksgiving, I kind of keep an altar, like my Samhain or my altar for the dead in general, up during that whole season. You know, old friends and stuff who have passed on, like, I bring their pictures out and put them on the altar.
Lady Blind Wolf, I believe this woman is from England because she was talking about doing stuff between Glastonbury and someplace else. What I can't remember.
I think she's European.
Yeah, well, obviously. But I'm pretty sure she is located somewhere in the UK, specifically in England somewhere, because she was talking about going between Glastonbury and someplace else. I was going to say something else, and I don't remember what it was now. But yeah, oh, that's what it was. I find the image really funny of like witches just hoarding up our incantations and things like that to save for Halloween night, because that's the night we all say our incantations that we've saved up and waited to use. It's like, okay, I know a lot of witches at this point in my life, and I don't know about you folks in the chat, but how many of you actually wait for like specific astrological times to do stuff? Or do you just do it when it's convenient?
You know, dust the hot Cheeto dust off your fingers and get to work. I don't know. I mean, per also really being into astrology and planetary magic, for me, like there are certain things that like I will weave specifically during different planetary influential times, but there's plenty of folk magic that happens between ceremonies that like I'm not necessarily waiting for a particular moon phase. And if there is a moon phase or something astrologically going on that's not necessarily congruent with the way that I've created the spell, we're witches, we're adaptable. You just change the way the spell is. If it's really important for you to do, let's say, invoking, drawing sort of stuff during the waxing moon, if that's really important to you, like, or if you're really attached to doing banishments during the waning moon, and let's say you want to do a money spell, but the moon is waning, you can just tweak your spell and like blast the obstacles standing in your way. Instead of doing a general prosperity spell, do a spell to target the obstacles or the roadblocks, like a blockbuster kind of thing. So yeah. And Australia, you're right. There's plenty of witches that they do what they do when they do it when they can. Yeah. Okay.
Let's get back to it.
Yes.
Because the veil is thinnest, and it is, and maybe it's because of all of the ritualistic stuff happening and so many people aligning with the kingdom of darkness, it gives it more power. I don't know, but you know how back in the day people would dress in costumes to look like they are evil spirits, to camouflage, so they would conform to the evil to be left alone. Now, isn't that so true in our Christian walk? When we are a light, when we are Christ's, we are then attacked. I mean, I had no idea when I was involved in the occult that I was really riddled with demons, really riddled with so much darkness, until I came to Christ and he filled me with his light, and then those things were revealed and exposed for what they were. These energy, what's the word? There's so much resistance for me getting this out.
Honey, has she never heard of iMovie editor?
Yes, there's a very good point I wanted to make.
I doubt it. I doubt.
Yeah, so going on to that, sorry. So these different forces that light workers believe are of light and good, spirit guides, that's the word. These spirit guides and different entities that the people in witchcraft, when they see them as light, they are not light, they are dark, they're all dark. Only when you come to Christ do they reveal their true colors. And I've been in that, and it's terrifying. It's absolutely terrifying to truly see what these entities, what these characters and personalities and things that are consulting you and telling you what they truly are is absolutely pure evil. Like, I've never experienced or known such hatred and wanting to tear you apart, as I have when I've come to Christ, and then those.
That is absolutely what is going on here.
I think the thing that I'm finding funniest right now, and I'm trying to hold myself together, is when she was basically like, I was just lousy with demons, and then I went to Jesus, and he gave me a little bit of a flea dip, and now I'm better. And it's like, I can't. And yeah, I absolutely agree that this is weaponizing against a different spiritual community, which is, par for the course for most Christians, unfortunately. Ridden with demons, yes. Just riddled with them, just like fleas.
Hey, Midnight, good to see you. And thank you guys for those of you catching the live stream. I'm seeing that there's an influx of people just kind of coming into the room. So we're doing the Witches React. Australia and I, per it being the season of the witch, we are looking at these evangelical testimonials using our religion, using the archetype of witch or even satanic witch to basically propagate evangelical Christianity. And it's really problematic on a multitude of levels. But I think the biggest thing that I have an issue with is the hypocrisy and the fraudulency of it all. Because I really am not convinced that any of these people were really practicing witches. I'm hearing a lot of buzzwords is what I'm hearing. And I'm hearing a lot of fluff. Like
a lot of waffle, a lot of filler, a lot of, oh, I did a thing and it was scary and it was pure evil and witchcraft and spirits and energy. And it's a whole lot of not saying anything while trying to make it sound as diabolical as possible. Which, I mean, call me diabolical, that's fine, I'll take that moniker, but like, if you're gonna spin a yarn, like, at least make it good, at least make it somewhat believable,
right?
Like, do a little research so you can make it sound like you were in it,
entities that I was dealing with before who were guiding me and showing me so much wisdom and giving me dreams and prophecy and leading me on this rabbit trail of destruction. When I truly saw them for who they were in Christ, it was terrifying. And the thing is, if you are celebrating Halloween, you're aligning with those things. You're aligning with the kingdom of darkness.
Goodness.
You are, in fact, involved in their ritual. Now, you might not know that, so
so condescending
too. It's hidden knowledge. It's hidden. So many people that are involved in it are taken as fools, and then, but not you, brothers and sisters, not you. You are children of God. You are not to align yourself with the enemy.
I am not your sister.
It's not for you. That's not where you belong. You don't belong in playing games with something that is definitely not playing games. I mean, the devil is so evil. And the thing is, like, I know I never was a Satanist, as it were, but I align myself with Satan. And you could say I was somewhat more dangerous because I appealed to people as the light side of Satan when I was involved in the New Age and witchcraft and,
Okay, I'm going to stop right there. I want to make this clear for everybody. Okay? I've said this multiple times. Okay, I was recently, if you watch House of Witchcraft at all here on YouTube, I was recently in a video with Taryn, and we were really talking about this whole dichotomy of white and black, good and evil, light and dark within the craft. Me personally, in my vernacular and work within the craft, those words do not mean how they are using them to me. For one, if we're going to talk about good or bad magic, I have no issue with either form of magic. Magic is magic, just like a car is a car. I can pick you up and take you to your doctor's appointment. with a vehicle, or I can run you over. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like the same can be said for a lot of things. Magic is just magic. Like, how you choose to use it is whether it has good or bad intentions. And like bad magic or offensive magic, blasting magic, malefica, whatever word we want to use. Let's say what we actually mean for one. Let's not just call it black and associate blackness with evil and bad, because come on. Like, come on, babes. That has a lot of problematic racial undertones, and it's just not what we mean. We mean offensive, blasting malefica. So say that instead.
Mm-hmm.
If you look at some of these grimoires that are incorporating this heavy war style of magic, a lot of times it's used to liberate people from oppressors.
Mm-hmm.
Let me use Gospel of Aradia, for example. Like, there's Malefica within the Gospel of Aradia, where Aradia is teaching the peasant folk of Italy how to use witchcraft to liberate themselves from their oppressive Catholic lords.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's what the Malefica is being used for.
That's what a lot of witchcraft is about. If you look at media when they show like witches in like a rural setting or something like that, usually, and this is true historically as well, witches were represented by the poor. And that's why I will always maintain that witches utilize what they have available, because that's what we've had to do as individuals who have been part of the common folk or the impoverished. And the spells that we use are used to alter reality so that way we have a better life, a safer life, so that we can be liberated from our oppressors. You know, the reasons that, say, Jasmine and I might use magic might differ from the reason that those of you in the chat might use magic, but it's always in the vein of bettering our lives and freeing us from oppression, at least for most of us. I can't speak for everybody. And you know, I'm not offended easily, but the fact that this woman is sitting up on her YouTube channel and just being so damning of something that she clearly has no understanding of, you know, makes me kind of cranky, makes me kind of nauseous, makes me kind of want to, you know, retaliate. And the way that witches retaliate is through Malefica.
Right. And I also, let's talk about too, she just said something that was made her possibly even more sinister was that she was this white witch, right?
Yeah.
And talking about to piggyback off what you said about the media, the white witch sort of archetype, the literal nice white lady trope
Mm-hmm.
used in magic has been used, in my opinion, mostly by a lot of Wiccans as a way to make the craft more palatable for the
Mm-hmm.
general public. And I was having a conversation about this with some friends as well, talking about how, you know, in our coven, we host rituals out in the public. Like, I've done the LBRP with coven mates in parking lots before. Like, we host rituals in public parks. Part of the reason why we're able to do that is because of some of these witches who have come before us, and we're benefiting from the craft being more normalized, mainstream, and palatable.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like the con with that is we have this whole archetype of the nice white lady trope within the craft that makes witchcraft approachable, that takes the fangs and the teeth out of the craft. If you look at movies where they have different witches, normally they have some sort of scary brown voodoo lady. That's always the bad guy, 9
Yeah.
times out of 10 in these media tropes. And, the nice white lady uses her magic to bless people with. And look even at Charmed. The witches from Charmed are like, not using magic for personal gain.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And
So,
yeah, it's really disgusting.
yeah, it really is. And
also you hit a topic there that I've always been really passionate about. which is the concept of rewilding the witch. Talking about how we've been made more palatable and how we've had our fangs and claws and pelts taken. That's actually something that Peter Gray talks about in his book Apocalyptic Witchcraft, where he talks about how basically our elders sold us out so that way we could walk around with our pewter pinnacles and our crystals and be more palatable.
Yeah.
And part of rewilding the witch is about taking back that aspect of ferocity, being willing to put that fear back into people, being willing to show your claws and your teeth, because it's becoming more and more necessary as we progress forward. Witchcraft and alternative spirituality is on the rise and Christianity is on the decline. And you can definitely see the death throes in a lot of Christians because they're doing stuff like what this woman is doing, where they're weaponizing their religion against other religions by spreading false information.
Yeah. Yeah. And I just think that we need to reclaim our feralness. Like witches have always kind of been on the fringes of society as well. Like folklorically, historically, it's not like we're the popular townsfolk. We've always kind of been literally, like even from the movie The Craft, like we are the weirdos. Like we've been the weirdos. Why are we trying to not be? Like that's kind of why I've been personally really trying to just lean in and embrace the cringe because I feel like that's part of my craft. That's part of the craft.
I think one of my favorite representations in media of like people fearing a witch and a witch being this kind of impoverished person who people go to when they have great need is in the show Penny Dreadful, when they go over Vanessa Ives' teacher who was called the Cut Wife. And people would go to her to have a certain medical procedure done. But, people were afraid of her because she was this scary witch who lived in a cottage all by herself. And, she gathered her own food and did her own hunting and everything like that. But she had this magic that she could use to help people. But people were afraid of her, and for good reason.
Really good conversations, you guys, in the chat. Hello, Witch of Thorns. Thanks for joining. And I'm glad that you have been able to move past some of that, Haley.
Light work and Reiki healing and all of that stuff. Now, I was friends with Satanists, and one of them said to me one day, to be initiated into his coven, his satanic coven, the way in which they did that, he told me that the ritual, what they did, and basically they stripped him naked. They tied.
Wait a second. Okay. So a high priest, allegedly of this satanic coven, I feel like they were probably just like Wiccans that were just calling Satanists. Mm-hmm. Satanic is not even a dirty or a bad word to begin with, but don't you agree that these people were probably just very run-of-the-mill standard Wiccans and probably not actually Satanists, especially since this was allegedly a coven?
I mean, I just think that everything that's coming out of her mouth is just complete bullshit.
Yeah, I mean, I do too, but my point is, I am a high priestess within the Solar Court coven, Neo tradition. If you were a seeker who then moved to dedicant, who then moved to petitioner, who then moves to initiate, I'm not going to sit you down and tell you what initiation you're about to go through verbatim.
Yeah, no.
No high priest or high priestess of the craft is giving you the inner mysteries of initiation because it's an initiation. Now, there might be conversations that take place around initiation to prepare and like set you up for success, maybe, but not telling you verbatim the initiation.
Also,
And definitely not to a lay person. Like, if I were to be talking to you about initiation, or if any other high priest or priestess were to be talking to you about initiation, you would already be at the place in the process of getting ready to initiate.
yeah,
I would not just be having a casual conversation with one of my friends who isn't even in the craft, telling them explicitly how we initiate people, because that's part of the mystery.
right. Also, I don't know how old she was or what year it was when this conversation allegedly happened, but most Satanists don't practice magic.
No, and if we're looking at like like temple Satanists, like they don't their fifth tenet forbids them from believing in anything supernatural.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's an atheistic religion.
Yeah. So it's so frustrating because, like, we all know that this is crap, but it's just the fact that, like, I also am very keenly aware that, like, her video has probably affected people.
Oh, for sure.
And that's more disturbing to me than just me sitting here listening to her spout a bunch of bullshit. It's just like people have probably been scared off from practicing witchcraft because of people like her. And it's just really gross.
And you know, like as unfortunate as that is, myself as a witch and many other witches, and even like coven lines, we don't prophesize. We're not a religion that's out there trying to get people. We're not trying to recruit people. We're not trying to get people to convert to our religion. We have no agenda of that whatsoever.
Mm-hmm.
And also, like, if you're afraid to get into practicing the craft because of Abrahamic trauma, I'm not saying that like you shouldn't practice the craft, but I am saying that like you should seek the help of a licensed mental health professional, because that's a trauma indicator to me. And also like the craft can be a little scary because it calls us outside of our comfort zone. Once again, it's not supposed to be palatable. Like I think you should expect there to be a little bit of discomfort or fear or pain
Exactly
that
what I
comes
was going
along
to
with
say.
growth.
Mm-hmm. That's exactly what I was going to say, is that if as a witch you are going to practice magic, you are tapping into something old and primal. And when you touch something like that, if you don't feel a little bit of fear, if all you're feeling is all of this bright elation, which I mean is fine sometimes, but when you're touching that deep primal place, you should be feeling that twinge of fear. That's how you know the magic is working. And I've had people completely tell me that that's not the case. And I'm like, okay, but what are you tapping into then? Because it doesn't sound like you're tapping into anything significant.
Right. Or any real sense of power. And that's something that I'm interested in my craft. Like, and in our coven, like to me, magic is using your will to insert your astral intentions into the cult. Like that's one definition of how I would describe magic. And if you're not getting results, like talk to me when you're getting these results from the work, because I'm all here for some armchair witchery as well. Like what are you actually manifesting? Like what is the work that you're actually doing here? And going back to the topic of these testimonials, they always go in two parts. One, they reminisce on practicing the craft and they almost talk like they miss it in some ways. They
Mm-hmm.
talk about how intoxicating the craft is and how much power it gave them over their lives. Or they talk like about it in the sense that like they were doing all of these deep dark ceremonial rituals, but they don't actually ever talk about what exactly they were doing, other than maybe they played with some tarot cards one time, or they called out to a spirit and it manifested. They shit their pants and ran to Jesus.
Right.
Okay, back to the tape.
Tied him up in a stressed position, I think in like a bit of a fetal position, but on his feet, so he couldn't really move. And they tied him up and they blindfolded him and they whipped him very hard for a very long time until he came to this point where he was like out of his body, where he was in this hypnosis state. And this was so that he could invoke spirits willingly, aligning with the devil, so that he could have knowledge and power, ultimately to feed pride. He wouldn't say that, but it was so he had knowledge and power. Now he's willingly doing that. They willingly do that. They willingly.
Great Sage, I agree.
I will say this. Ritual scourging is a thing within some traditions. I'm not going to say that that's not a thing. It can also be something that is not sexual, like at all. It can be used for purification, trance work. And I think that what consenting adults choose to do with other consenting adults in safe and private spaces is their business. And here's the other thing. Power is not a dirty word.
No.
Like, a thirst for power and wisdom is not inherently a problematic personality trait. What you choose to do with the power that the craft gives you, you are responsible for that. But power in of itself, you're supposed to have power. Like, not to be super cheesy and like corny or like that girl, but it is our birthright. Let me go back to that. It is. It is.
It is. It sure is.
Okay.
They willingly put themselves and the group in a traumatic experience, inflict trauma, fracture.
No. See, here's the thing. Can ritual scourging possibly be traumatic? Yeah, I'm not going to sit here and say that it can't be. But if things are done in an adult space with consenting adults, it's not, that does not equal trauma.
And the thing of it is like, I'm not going to lie, using ritual scourging to like enter a trance state so you can commune with spirits sounds like a great time, honestly. And I have used ritual scourging to achieve trance states. Are there other methods that I like more? Yes. But I mean, I'm surprised she's even provided this much information.
Right.
This entire video is her kink. Yes, nocturnal. I agree.
And also going back to what I said earlier, I really think that this sounds like she was maybe just involved very lightly with some Wiccans, possibly like old school Gardenerians, maybe. Because I know that like this ritual scourging is in the Gardenerian Book of Shadows. So, and if they really were Gardenerian Wiccans, they weren't Satanists. They were not Satanists. So we're just throwing that label on them.
I mean, most Satanists don't even believe in any kind of like spirituality, or especially not the devil. I mean, unless they are theistic Satanists.
Or using the devil as more of an archetype.
Or Luciferian, or demonolators. Like, these are all possibilities. But the likelihood these are people that she was around is pretty slim.
Yeah.
The person and allow a gateway through for the demonic to possess the person. Now they're willingly doing it. But Satanists do that to children.
No, they don't.
They do that to children.
Oh my, hold on.
And
no.
Wait a minute.
No.
This is giving like British QAnon foolery now. Now we're entering that territory.
Okay. So
okay. Everybody, we're gonna have to go get you a cocktail because the foolery is really starting to set in.
So not to make this political, but I need to make this
witchcraft is
political.
inherently political. Let's politicize that, please.
So if it's not obvious to anybody, I'm a doll, you know. I'm a trans person. And as a trans person, one of the things that we get assaulted with is the idea that we are inherently predators, groomers, you know, all sorts of things like that. The funny thing I see about this, and this is something that I notice with a lot of Christians, is, or alt-right people or things like that, is that we have an agenda. LGBTQ has an agenda. Alternative religions and spiritualities have an agenda. The only agenda that I see for anyone is the indoctrination, brainwashing, proselytizing of Christianity and right-wing thought. And this
Absolutely.
whole narrative of, but the children, really makes me super angry, because I know plenty of Satanists, like real legit ass Satanists, as do you. And let me tell you, I would let a Satanist take care of my child and watch my child before I would ever let a Christian watch my child. Period.
Yeah, and like also this is just literally point blank not happening.
No, it's not happening. This is not something that happens.
Like this is alt-right conservatives freaking out over stuff that is not happening. That is literally not happening. And they're weaponizing it. And you know, I'm trans, I'm a doll, I'm queer as well. And it also is giving me the whole propaganda of us just trying to use the bathroom and making trans women out to be predators. It's giving that as well. Witches, Satanists are not synonymous with child predators. And honestly, I don't know this person's name, so Jesus is truth. A lot of the religious indoctrination and preying upon children is actually coming from your side of the fence.
Yeah, absolutely.
A lot of the violence against children is actually coming from within these churches, within these conversion camps. That's where the real violence is coming from.
That's where the violence and the trauma and the messed up rituals are.
Okay, we're going to have to get back into this.
Ooh, I'm heated.
Everybody in the chat, go grab yourself a cocktail or a snack. This is getting hot.
When you are invested in the devil, when you're putting all of your energy and time and devotion, and I mean they are devoted, when you're doing that, and you know that on Halloween night is the night where you probably will get the most investment, most return, the most reward, the outcome will be most likely to do what you want. Just think about how many children are going through that on Halloween night.
Now, girl, hold on. For one, you can actually have a morality, a personal morality without the Bible or this evangelized version of Christ. You can actually be a good person. And here's something that I've always thought and felt in regards to practicing Christians. Because I did not grow up with Christianity really in my home growing up. It wasn't really a part of it. I've been friends with Christians growing up, and I've had some really, honestly, great philosophical conversations. And something that's disturbing to me when it comes to Christians is a lot of them are doing these good deeds because they think that they're going to get some sort of reward, not actually because they're good people. And notice what I said there. Like, they're doing it solely for the purpose of believing that they are going to be rewarded, probably not because maybe they even genuinely want to do it. They might have so much guilt and shame into having to do whatever they think they're being told is the right thing to do. That's why they're doing it. If I'm giving somebody money or an organization money, if I'm going out of my way to volunteer, like hours to help out, whatever it might be, it's solely because I want to and because I believe it's the right thing to do, not because I'm being threatened by any spirit or deity, not because I'm being bullied into being a good fucking person, but because I genuinely want to.
The thing I find interesting here is how she speaks about working with the devil in transactional terms, investment, return. And like you said, this is all about Christians buying their way into heaven. But this also shows a very clear narrative where Christians will absolutely utilize and weaponize hypocrisy to get what they want, basically. They'll say, oh, well, these people are really devoted and they invest so much time and devotion into the devil and blah 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 blah, when realistically that's exactly what Christians are doing. They're fully devoted to their God. They're fully devoted so that they can supplicate and so that they can buy their way into their holy kingdom after they pass, hoping that they'll find some peace or something like that. And I'm not going to begrudge anybody a happy afterlife. No matter what anybody believes, if you want a happy afterlife, I hope you get that. But like, at the cost of the fear mongering and the hate spreading and the lies and the hypocrisy, it's just gross. I don't know if I don't know if I can sit here and say that I feel like people like her deserve that. I don't know if I feel like she deserves that peace. I don't know if she deserves that now in the living, waking world,
And I will say too that myself and many other witches I know do have a personal relationship with the devil and do work with the devil. And I think something that a lot of our craft elders as well is there was all this rhetoric of witches don't even believe in the devil. Witches don't work with the devil. We don't worship the devil. Once again, because we're trying to make the craft more palatable.
Mm-hmm.
And I have no problem saying that I work with the devil, that I have a personal relationship with the devil. And a lot of people of this sort of mentality are going to automatically project their devil onto my devil, our devil.
Mm-hmm.
The witch's devil includes their devil, but is not synonymous to. And I could sit up here and we could just have a whole show specifically about the witch's devil, the horned god, whatever. Like that could be a whole separate segment. But I kind of feel like that's also kind of part of the mystery of the craft. And if that makes people feel pokey or if that upsets people when they hear that, that's okay to me. It's not supposed to be palatable.
Now, there's on the surface of you dressing your children up and taking them out and knocking on doors and getting sweets, and it's all lovely, but you're part of a ceremony of dark magic. And that's the truth.
No.
There is so much evil in this world.
No, ma'am, no lettuce, no tomato.
And on Halloween night, we can't just pretend like it's all fun and games, because it's not.
Honey, yes, it is, honey. For me, it is, honey. Honey.
The Lord was speaking to me today a lot about your will, your free will.
Will?
And I remember when I was being trained by some witches who were hedge witches, and they were also...
Will you just wait a minute? Where did we get here? Okay, so let's recap a little bit, you guys.
How many people did she know? Like what? Where did she find this community of like every type of magical person you can think of?
Yeah, let's recap a little bit. So for those of you just now tuning in, exactly, Sage.
Yeah,
she loves
Sage for real.
Also, Sydney, great to see you here, babes. Co-sign on all of this? Yes, yes, yes. Exactly. Were they Satanists or witches? Okay. So for those of you just now tuning in, it's the season of the witch. That's why we're kind of looking at some of these evangelical testimonies using the archetype of the witch as a way to try to bully people into their religion, basically, which I just can't stand for or with. And this individual is a content creator on YouTube. I do not tend for any hate or anything like that to be sent to this creator. No harassment, no bullying. You guys, for real, we're critiquing the work here and we're critiquing what they are talking about, not necessarily the individual per se. I think that's important to keep in mind because I don't want this to turn into like a bullying, harassment sort of conversation. We're the marginalized in this conversation, so we need to be mindful about how we're representing ourselves in the craft because it'll be easy for people of this background to look at us and just write us off right off the bat if we're being nasty. So for those of you in the comment section, just, keep that in mind. We're criticizing the thought structure here.
Mhm.
This person, allegedly, when they were 6, started saying Buddhist prayers, and I believe them and their mother hung out with a woman who was Buddhist or something. They were doing Buddhist prayers, praying the mala. They got a little bit older. I believe they dabbled in some tarot here and there.
And yoga.
And meditation, mindfulness. They got a little bit older. It sounds like they started hanging out with some Gardnerian Wiccans who they're labeling as Satanists. But she never says that she was in the coven. She never claimed that she was initiated. She did claim that this high priest, though, was just divulging all of their inner mysteries, which any witch who's been involved in any sort of initiatory coven knows that that's not actually how any of this works. Like, there's inner mysteries that you gain access to via initiation. So you're not just going to be having those conversations with a layperson about it. So I just kind of wanted everyone to have like that background there. Now we're talking about hedge witches. What?
This, like, she's so all over the place with her story. The math ain't mapping.
No.
Reiki practitioners, energy healers, as well as shamans and ayahuasca. They did ayahuasca ceremonies and did energy healing during those ceremonies. They were many things. And I came under them and they started teaching me more and opening me up more to more.
This woman is on drugs.
You know. And one time when they were doing Reiki on me, and I was learning to read auras, and they said that they saw my spirit guide. They described it exactly how I knew my spirit guides to look like. And they said to me, they're here telling me that I need to help align your chakra about free will. They want to help you activate.
What? Your chakra of free will? Huh?
Okay.
Which one is that? Is that the root, girl? Is that the sacral? Where's the free will at in the chakra system? Where is that? Is that in the heart, the crown?
Like, here's the thing, though. Like, she's talking about this. She's like, they were doing Reiki energy healing on me, and they spoke to my spirit guides, and my spirit guide was like, we need to align your chakras, by the way, so that way you can have free will. Where's the bad part? Where's the evil? Like, if this actually happened, ma'am, where's the evil? Because it sounds like they were trying to empower you, and what it really sounds like, what it's really giving, ma'am, whatever your name is it's giving fear. It's giving that you were presented with freedom and knowledge and wisdom, and you said, whoa, that's not for me. Willful ignorance, easy path to heaven, I'm going that way. Gross.
Hello, Lady Raven Moon. Good to see you.
Completely your own free will to them. You know, I was so deceived, and I was like, great, working on that area of my chakras and doing mantras and different things to align with what now I know as demons. But the Lord put it into my remembrance today about it being about my free will. That's what they were after. They were after my total and utter will. My will. There is power in our will, in man's free will. God's given us free will.
That's
Do we
witchcraft,
align our
lady.
will with the devil, or do we align our will with God? And whoever we align with is who will use us.
Also, like
Gemini cat, those dang demons.
no. In occult spaces, in the craft, it's about uplifting and empowering the individual and helping them harness their will and living their true will. Like exactly what Estradia was saying earlier, like that's about power, beauty, grace, wisdom. Like that's not a scary thing.
Whose fanfic is this?
Literally though. This is a lot.
It is. It's also mildly upsetting.
And, you know, in terms of like the whole wanting the free will, that's actually a Christian concept. Yahweh wants your soul. Yahweh wants to control, command, and compel you. Yahweh wants to restrict your spirit. Yahweh wants you to have this halo of light over you to where the light is literally blinding you into just being cattle. That's not the adversary. That's not the current of the adversary. The adversary wants you to think for yourself, wants you to exert your will in your life in order to create a real waking paradise here on earth for yourself.
Mm-hmm. And, you know, Jasmine, I know you and I have some differing opinion about this, but, you know, I have this whole philosophy about the whole like Garden of Eden thing where I personally feel that Eve made the right choice, you know, where she was presented with the option of either following God and Adam and sticking in the Garden of Eden but remaining ignorant, or knowledge of magic and freedom and sovereignty and power. And she chose the latter. She chose the power. She chose knowledge and wisdom. And, you know, in the Bible, of course, it demonizes her because it demonizes all women. But the fact is that she allowed herself to be open to wisdom and then shared it with Adam. And they were removed from paradise.
Mm-hmm.
But,
no, I like that interpretation.
But like, I've never been able to understand why anyone would want to be in a spiritual path or a religion that's purely based on transaction and willful ignorance. I don't get it. It doesn't compute for me.
Right. Or also like the spiritual idea that you're inherently unclean, powerless, and like rotten spiritually, and that you need to be cleansed through the subjugation to this spirit. Like a lot of this stuff that is biblical, like if you were to replace Yahweh with literally any other deity, people would be freaking out and would be like, that is abusive, like, that's satanic, that's controlling, that's manipulative. I mean, this is the same God that called a man to kill his own son.
Mm-hmm. Like, go through the Bible, folks. If you haven't, go through the Bible and tell me where the devil does anything bad. Show me. But then show me all the verses where Yahweh or Jehovah commands someone to do something horrible in
like
his name.
killing their child.
Mm-hmm. Like, if you ever talk to Christians about the Old Testament, they're like, oh, well, we don't follow that anymore. Like, that doesn't apply. But there's literally a whole section in there where God tells his soldiers to destroy an entire village, and specifically to kill and essay the women and to murder children and babies. Like, this is in the Christian Bible. But they just choose to ignore it because it no longer fits their narrative.
Right.
But we're the evil ones, us. We're out here corrupting the kids and the conjuring. Okay, we might be conjuring demons.
That part's true.
That part's
also,
true.
Thank you, Dominic, very much for the super sticker. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Dom.
Okay, back to the tapes.
Sorry for my rant, everybody.
No, I'm here for it. I'm here for it.
You know how the Lord is such a gentleman. The Lord is just so beautiful.
Excuse
He
my
will
language.
never
Shut
force
the
himself on
What?
anyone.
What?
No, that is
The
not our
Lord
Lord.
is such a gentleman.
He waits for you at the door, for you to knock.
These people are
opens.
fanatics.
This woman is
What does the devil do?
and not the good kind.
The devil is persistently at your door knocking.
Good, let him in.
Knocking. Oh, maybe this person at the door is okay. Maybe they're dressed nice. They're dressed as an angel. Maybe I'll open the door to them. No. See, this whole thing is a mockery. You have children who the devil is trying to claim to take to hell, embodying the character of the devil, coming to your door, knocking on your door, and expecting you to give him an offering, to give him a sacrifice, to bow down at him and join in with his games.
Is it not in the Bible that God asks for
so
burnt
evil.
offerings
It's so
all
evil.
the time?
And, you know, I understand that those of you that haven't been involved in things like the occult or witchcraft, you might not have even known. You just thought, oh, it's just fun and games. But the root of the history.
Lady Blind Wolf, you're asking the questions, and we don't know.
Yeah, Lady Blind Wolf, I am really not sure. I am really not sure.
Her delineation of this like timeline makes no sense
At all. And also, like, the craft for me, it's not just fun and games, love. It's my religion. It's not just like an aesthetic or a hobby. It's just as serious to me as maybe your religion is to you. I enjoy thoroughly using the word religious as a adjective to describe myself with, right? Like, it's kind of fun being like, oh yeah, I'm very religious. And then kind of watching people's like perplexed faces, right? Because they look at me and I don't fit like the clean Christian sorority girl narrative. And they're like, how is she religious? And sometimes they laugh, like they think I'm joking. And I'm very serious. I am very religious in the sense that the craft for me, my spiral path for me, I am very religious about it. And, unfortunately, with the Christian privilege and narrative, it's taken the word religious to be synonymous with Christian or Abrahamic.
Mm-hmm.
And that really has nothing necessarily to do with religion. Like, I have daily, weekly, monthly practices, yearly, seasonal practices that I take very religiously. Like, I take the Sabbaths very religiously. I take the Esbats very religiously. Like, there's certain times of year that literally speak to my soul. The craft literally saved my life. Like, it's not just fun and games for me. Like, it's my life. It's who I am down to the core of my being. There's no separating the witch soul within me. Like, and I don't like the kind of condescending nature that like it's not a serious religion and that it shouldn't be respected as such.
I mean,
Do you have any thoughts?
I have so many, and it's just, I don't know that there's anything more that I can say on this subject that I haven't already said, or that people in the chat haven't already said. It's just delusion and willful ignorance, and, you know, to some degree, bigotry. And, you know, I don't necessarily consider myself hyper religious. Like, there are, I guess, aspects of my practice that one could consider religious. I definitely am an animist, and I believe in gods and spirits and things like that. But there's a reason, and it's people like her that I've always been real squicked out by the word religion and by the concept of worship, because I came to a determination a long time ago that I never wanted to be someone like her. I wanted to be someone who, if I'm doing something within my craft, I am the battery behind that power. I'm not supplicating to anything else. Do I have deities that I work with in order to learn and improve my path so that I can be a better witch and be, I guess, more powerful is a word that I'll use, even though that doesn't feel quite right? Yes. But am I worshiping these gods and lavishing them with daily offerings and things like that? No, I don't do that. I'm a student, not clergy. And, you know, I absolutely have a lot of Abrahamic trauma. I was raised in the Baptist church. So I've experienced.
Can we just say not to poke fun at all at what you're saying, because it's serious and it's good stuff that you're saying.
Oh,
But
please poke fun.
anytime I hear someone who says like what you just said, I always think to Mrs. Edwina on TikTok where she's like, I was raised in the Baptist church. I don't know why I hear that in my head. Like, I was raised in the Baptist church.
I mean, I was raised in a spiritual Baptist church, a spiritual Southern Baptist church where these women were sweet as pie to you, to your face, and they were working roots on you in the background, but they weren't witches. They weren't witches. Like, I remember I would try to meditate, and my grandma said that the devil was going to come take me to hell because I was meditating.
And I will say, in regards to like what Australia is saying here, like you don't have to use the word religious at all to describe your practice. Like that is totally fine. And I do think that there is a big difference between like one, I think the clergy should be committed to the academia and should be like a student, but there is a difference in the craft between like being more of a priestess and being more of a sorcerer, a magi, or a witch. Like I think that there is a clear distinction there. I think you can be both.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think you have to pick one or the other. I think witches, a lot of us are actually more religious than we think we are. I think we just don't like the word religion because of the Abrahamic trauma and Christian association that comes along with that. When I'm using religious, I mean that like I take my religion very seriously.
Right,
like it's
right,
not
right.
just like it's not just lukewarm spirituality willy-nilly. I cherry pick different things about my religion and I'm here for it some days and not for it other days, and I show up a couple times a year for my faith. I mean, I live it every day. That's what I mean when I say I'm like religious.
Yeah, and I live my practice every day as well. I really like the way Jason Miller puts it, because I guess technically speaking, I would fall into the category of sorceress, because I personally believe that I fall into this middle liminal space between witch and magician. But I fall into a middle space with a lot of things because I'm also an animist. I very much adhere to the spirit model of magic, but I adhere to all the models of magic and fall somewhere in between because I feel like they're all applicable. And I don't know. It's just, I'm so flustered by this awful woman. Like, I know we're not trying to like be bullying or hateful or anything like that, but it's like this woman is literally weaponizing falsehoods and her religion and bullying people like us. And
Yeah.
like there could be, and like I said earlier, there might be budding young witches who hear this and then get discouraged to not follow something that could be amazing for them. But we're the evil, awful, dangerous ones. And mind you, we are dangerous, absolutely. But we're not like out here grooming people. We're not out here twisting people's arms to give their soul over to the devil.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think that, you know, the witches that really hear the call or, you know, feel pulled, I think will find their own crooked spiral path to the magic.
Mm-hmm.
I don't believe that if it's really meant to be for you to be a magi in this lifetime, that these words are going to prevent you from the magic that's already inherently a part of you.
Yeah, I agree.
You can't escape it when it's a part of you.
As we said yesterday, you can't step back from the witchcraft because the witchcraft will kind of creep up on you and choke you. Hashtag don't get choked out by the craft.
Period.
History of this is evil, and the very essence of it on that night is so evil.
Oh, God.
So evil.
You're
even if there are shamans or Wiccans or, you know, energy healers or white witches or, you know, people that think that they're doing good and they're doing good rituals and they're doing ceremonies to love, they don't know who they're worshipping. The Satanists do. But the others don't.
How
they think
condescending
I thought I was worshipping
is
the universe. You know, people think that they're worshipping Mother Earth, Gaia, you know, trees, whatever, worshipping nature. But when you are not worshipping the one true creator God, our Lord, if you're not looking to Jesus and him, what are you looking at? And the Lord made it very clear to me.
Is it your Lord or is it Jesus? Because I don't
demons,
understand this soft polytheism that we have going on.
I was doing the devil's work. When I wasn't with the Lord, I was doing the devil's work. I was leading people into this like beautiful time of light on their merry way to hell. That's where I was going, and that's where I was taking people with me when it came to working on yourself. And so I think that's all I wanted to say about Halloween. It's
so nothing at all.
The analogy there of how
Not
people
shit.
would dress up like demons and try and conform so they wouldn't get messed with as much. That is a massive lie of the devil. Because the ones that don't get messed with as much, they're already his. Don't align yourself with the devil. So we are going to meet as a church. I know a lot of you guys are from different places, so maybe just unplug your doorbell, I don't know, or hand out tracts, I don't know. But just spend some time with us in prayer.
She said hand out tracts, baby. Jesus got a mixtape.
Maybe she meant hand
This
out
is going to
tracts.
be, you know how the Lord's been doing a sifting process? This is going to be a really interesting Halloween because it's on the Lord's Day. It's on the day where people go to church. Now, are the Christians going to worship God in the morning and then align themselves with the devil in the evening?
Yeah, it's called trunk or treat.
Who's going to do that? And can you do that? Can you?
Yeah.
Yeah, people do.
So join us on a Sunday evening in prayer. We're all meeting at 6:30 and we're going to do a night of prayer.
Oh, I'm sad that we missed this, guys.
This week's been tough for a lot of us. You know, there's been so much activity from the enemy that we've all been under it. So we could do is praying for one another and lifting each other up in this time. So God bless you all, and I'll see you next time. Bye.
Nocturnal, she said it again, the enemy.
I don't even know.
Girl, that video got me so heated.
I don't know. I will say that I have received a Jesus mixtape before.
Was it a bop?
So here's the thing. One of the places I've gotten one twice, actually, not just once. The first time I got one, I was working out of a barber shop. I'm not going to say exactly where, but for those of you who know me in person, you'll know. And in the town that I was working in the same parking lot, like a shop in the same parking lot, was this really big Christian Life bookstore. They've since gone out of business. And honestly, with the way rent is set up in that part of our city, it's such a large space that I think the rent is so expensive that there's been several businesses that have gone in there, have set up, have lasted for about 4 or 5 months and have gone under. So I think it might be a rent issue because the area itself is an extremely popular shopping area. But anyway, there was one day where I was outside of the barbershop and I was smoking. And this lady came up to me and literally handed me like a burned CD. And I don't think she was an employee of this Christian bookstore. Okay. I think she might just be like kind of a fanatic that like maybe shopped there or something. I don't know. But she was very much under the influence. And I was also with my boss at the time. We were both standing outside, and she handed me a burned CD that had Jesus on, like actual Jesus allegedly was like on this CD. Like actually Jesus was on this, like, so of course I took, like, my boss threw her copy in the trash because she was like, you know, not giving her any lip service, whatever. I took my copy home and we made it into a drinking game. You guys, I had a couple of girls over and it was just a what the fuck sort of moment. Like it was so cringe. It honestly gave Charles Manson vibes. Like,
Ooh.
I'll have to see if I can find the CD. I'll totally let you borrow it if you're comfortable bringing that sort of demonic thing into your, good pagan woman household. I don't know how your family might feel about having something like that under your guys' roof. The other time was I was at I have a friend who runs a tattoo shop downtown, and she actually is my tattoo artist. And it's in like this big office building, and she runs the shop out of one of the suites in the office building. And there's a lot of trades people in this building. Um, like there's massage therapists and hairdressers, tattoo artists. There was a permanent makeup technician that worked in these suites as well. It's those kind of like office suites, right? And there was a neighbor who my tattoo artist was having a lot of issues with because this person was harassing her with using Christianity as a weaponized tool. My tattoo artist's shop, I won't put her on blast or anything like that, but her shop is kind of occulty in its name. And she also uses planetary symbols in some of the branding of her tattoo shop. And there's a lot of animistic aspect to her shop. Like she's got lots of taxidermy and oddities and, just kind of generic, like stuff that a lot of witches do enjoy. Like I'm not going to sit here and say that oddities are inherently like connected to the craft, but like there's plenty of witches who enjoy oddities. Anyway, her neighbor saw some of the stuff when she was moving in and basically felt like it was spiritual warfare that she had moved into the building and was legit harassing her to the point where the landlord actually had to evict this person because they were not only just harassing my tattoo artist, but other people as well. And it was encroaching into like a very much like a harassment territory, like breaking and entering into their suites, harassing them, vandalizing property. I myself, one day I was getting tattooed there, and when I came out to my car, there was a CD put underneath my windshield wiper. And shortly after that, that person was evicted from the building. So weaponized Christianity is a thing, and it's the satanic panic is still happening. That's what we're talking about. Hello, Hellbound Heathen. I'm glad that you could make it. Hi, Angel. Also, Hellbound Heathen makes a lot of this sort of style of commentary video. So please go check out Hellbound Heathen's channel if you would like to see more of this sort of commentary. And also for those of you just now tuning in, like, blessed be the season of the witch. I'm glad to see you guys here. Thanks for coming and hanging out. We're gonna have maybe like another 12 minutes or so left. So if you guys have any questions for Australia or or if you guys have any comments about some of the tapes that we've looked at, like, let us know. And also, we're kind of thinking about doing a weekly live show, but we need a name.
We need a name, and, you know, we'd like to know what you guys would like us to talk about. I've got some ideas for things that we could discuss.
Yeah, feel free to pitch us some ideas if there's things that you would like us to cover. I know that in one of the streams we were doing, I don't know if it was from last night or if it was from another stream, but like the traditional witchcraft colors, I think, would be a cool topic. The witch's devil would be a cool topic. There's some things that we've talked about wanting to react about, like with you guys. I think that per the season of the witch and per Christianity being weaponized against witches and use the archetype of witch to evangelize, we have to talk about hocus pocus at some point. I mean, apparently all you have to do to conjure demons, the Ars Goetia, honey, throw it out.
Just use hocus pocus.
Just put hocus pocus on, because apparently you can get all the demons in the world in your house just through that. Mass of the Arcane Mass. That's kind of cute. Imagine if we had like weekly blasphemy church style sessions, like once a week, like a live stream church session, but blasphemous. I like that.
I'm down with the blasphemy.
Are you coming to Arcane Mass? You know, you got to make sure to bring all of your friends and prophesize to them about, you know, uplifting their individual will and following their true will and finding beauty, power, and glory in their waking world and manifesting paradise here on earth for them to enjoy. Scary. This one's kind of fun. Nocturnal, a witchy talk show, petty and protected.
Love that. Love that.
Angel, I miss you so much, babe. I hope that you are coming to our Witches Memorial November 12th. I miss you. Would love to see you. For those of you that are here locally, I'm hosting this Witches Memorial November 12th. If you know where it is, you know where it is. But basically, it's kind of a way to uplift some of our mighty dead and just kind of hold space. So it's not really like a ritual per se. It's just kind of more of a candlelit memorial. Arabic influences in Western occultism. I know that there's quite a bit. Yeah, there is. I mean, a lot of like Abrahamic magic in general has come out of the Middle East. A lot of planetary magic, a lot of ceremonial magic. There's a lot of theories and like basically working with demons, and these demons actually being pre-Abrahamic gods of the Middle East that were then turned into the demons for the new religion. I mean, there's all types of, and if we're looking at Middle Eastern magic in general, like there's a lot to kind of go off of there. I mean, we have so much about Egyptian magic and the rites of these Egyptian priests. That's also part of the Middle East. We have Persia, like Mithraism.
Mm-hmm.
If we're just looking at Middle Eastern style magic, there's the Sihir, which is really just magic. It's just the Arabic word for magic that, you know, can be working with jinn, involving planetary hours. There's a ton of like Islamic magic as well. Even like the other sects of Muslims will not claim Sufis, but Sufi Muslims are very spiritual in nature. Many of them practice the craft. I have Sufis in my family. That's kind of like the form of like Islam that I was kind of the most introduced to was through Sufism. And like Sufi philosophy and outlooks of life. The Violet Blasphemy.
I like that a lot.
I like that too. The Goetia is another great example of Middle Eastern magic. Yeah. Czar dance, which is like a possession style hair dance that's like kind of incorporated almost like a belly dance-esque possession ritual. I feel like Sihir as a topic could be its own tea.
I agree.
Looking at pre-Islamic and post-Islamic Middle Eastern magic, that can be its own topic. I kind of like the idea of hosting like a weekly mass or something, like almost as like a parody. You know what I mean?
So, funny story, when I was in high school, every day at lunch, I would hold a kind of blasphemous mass where I would go and buy like a bottle of grape juice and like some packs of crackers, and I would pass them out to my friends at our table, and I would hold like a communion kind of deal. But it was definitely very blasphemous. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll have to talk more in detail after this stream and like kind of work out some specifics of like days, times, topics, you know, once we're done here on this live stream. But we just need a name, I think. Once we get a name, I think the rest of the vision will kind of fall together. If you guys enjoy Australia and I's media chemistry, if you enjoy our back and forth, for one, we are actually real friends in real life too. But also, we did a podcast. So, as the Cauldron Bubbles, the second season, Australia wasn't really a co-host per se, but basically every episode has Australia in it almost. So she was kind of an unspoken, unwritten co-host. She's in most of those episodes. So if you want to see more of us, then you can check that out. Or you can also check out our most recent stream, not the one from well, there's one yesterday, but there's also another Witches React to X Witches that you can check out. If there's anything else that you would like to see us react to, like feel free to comment down below or send me a DM on Instagram. And I think it'd be cool too to have some guests on like our weekly show. So if you're a content creator, or if you're not a content creator, let's talk. And if you're interested in maybe being a guest on our weekly stream, whatever sort of mass we'll be holding, whatever we end up calling it, like let me know.
I love Blood Suggestion for a name.
From Hell with Love.
I love that so much.
That's cute.
Love that a lot. But yeah, give us suggestions. If you like our chemistry, we'll keep doing this.
At least through the dark half of the year for sure.
Oh yeah.
Some selfless like promo here. If you're interested in taking any of my classes, you can do so online. I teach classes in person and online, and I also offer a self-paced, sort of guided witchy sort of training school through my Patreon. So things like tarot, modern Western astrology, palmistry, cartomancy, sigil craft, candle magic, and other things. If you're interested, I have a dark goddess workshop. We do Black Mirror scrying. If you're interested in learning some of the arts of the craft, you can do it through a self-paced way on my Patreon. You'll also get early access to pretty much all of my content, as well as some exclusive content as well, and behind the scenes footage. So you can check out my Patreon in the description. It's also a really great way to help support me and my work. And let's see. yeah, if you're interested in a reading or contacting me, the best way to schedule and go about that is via contacting me through Instagram. I have been now for probably about the past year trying to slowly bully and pull Australia into the dark side of being a media creator. So we're still working on it. We're still working on it.
I mean, I do have a lot to say about the occult.
She really does. And she has such great knowledge and information and a great voice. And like, I feel like it needs to be heard. And I personally would like to see there being more witchy queer creator in the sphere of influence.
I mean, as a left-hand path practitioner who seeks to remove the douchebaggery from the left-hand path, I feel like I do have a lot to say on the subject. You know?
Right. So get on that platform. Let your voice be heard.
I mean, if y'all want to hear about the left-hand path and
yes, I do. Yes, I do.
The sinistral arts, I can possibly talk about those things.
Yes. And you had mentioned maybe even doing something over on Twitch too.
I did. I have been considering doing some like Twitch streams where we would sit around and talk about things like folklore, cryptids, witchcraft, things like that. So, you know, if y'all are into Twitch streams, also thank you, Hellbound Heathen, for the sub. And yeah, I guess your bullying worked. I'm gonna have to do it now because people want
it. So yeah, I will be also releasing some Samhain-esque related content coming as well soon. We've been talking a lot about Jack of the Lantern on my Patreon as well. I kind of have fallen down that rabbit hole, which has been like my personal gnosis, and interacting with this thought form, egregoric, folkloric sort of spirit has been kind of interesting. So I'll be releasing some of that to the general public off of Patreon soonish. You know, they see pretty much everything I do first. And yeah, Hellbound, I agree. Like, no one ever really watches your first video, so just make whatever. I agree. An introduction, maybe. Like,
I mean, technically speaking, I already made an introduction, but I feel like I need to remake it. So we'll see.
And yeah, comment down below. Let us know, you guys, like what you would like maybe our topics to kind of be about. But we are striving and hoping to be bringing you a minimum of 1 hour to an hour and a half to 2 hours, just kind of depending, somewhere in that time frame of a stream once a week. So
the subjects don't have to all be super serious either. Like, we can have some fun, silly subjects too.
Yeah, like we could just have a casual kiki where we like hang out and carve a pumpkin, you know?
And talk about the magical uses of pumpkins.
I also feel like, you know, it'll help keep me committed a little bit to a schedule, because next month, I feel like I'm going to try to pre-record some content to make up for it. But next month, World of Warcraft Dragonflight is going to be coming out. I will be completely engulfed in prayer with World of Warcraft for a minimum of probably 2 to 3 months.
I'm still mystified at how you play a PC game with your nails. My nails aren't nearly as long as yours, and I
also don't use a mouse. I also don't use a mouse, and I do heroic and mythic rating, and I'm a healer.
It's pretty.
Some of my guildies also talk about that too. Like, they're like, how do you play WoW? Like, and like pretty much all of my friends who play in like my online friends, like guildies and stuff, they have these huge setups, which is like amazing. And I love that. And I wish I had a big setup, but at the same time, I love being able to just be rotten on my couch with my laptop on my tummy and just play like as is. Like,
wait, you said you don't use a mouse, so what are you using?
I don't use like a mouse. I just use like my keyboard. like well, there's like I guess a mouse on the keyboard, but
You use
like
the touchpad on your crusty laptop?
I do.
Girl,
Yeah,
as a gamer, I'm offended.
I do. Yeah. I tab target.
Oh,
Not so much in raiding when I'm healing and stuff, but when I'm just like a holy priest and I'm just like questing, like tab target works just fine.
you tab target in 2022?
Mm-hmm.
Girl, in this economy?
Mm-hmm. It works just fine in questing. Wouldn't recommend it for a dungeon, but I'm also not doing DPS. So,
That's fair.
and as a holy priest, there's plenty of hots, like heal over time spells that as long as I have the tank on my main focus, my hots pretty much can take care of everybody else. It works.
I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say to all this. I don't know. Do we need to start a gaming channel?
Ooh, I would like that. I would really like to stream myself playing WoW with you guys too. I just don't know how to do it.
And see, usually I'm fully invested in some kind of MMO, but right now I'm basically just playing Disney Dreamlight Valley, and I'm replaying Cyberpunk. So that's kind of what I've been doing, video game wise. I guess I have been playing Guild Wars 2 a little bit as well.
Yeah, I am super geeked about Dragonflight starting back up. I know that like most of my channel is like just pretty much straight up witchcraft and like occulty, but like Astradia and I have talked before about like some World of Warcraft like lore and cosmology, and like not to be that witch, but for a moment, I'm just gonna say that there is a lot of like Warcraft cosmology that like resonates for me on like a personal level. Like the whole aspect of like the different realms and like where magic comes from and spirits and things like that. Like that's a vibe. And like the game developers got it from paganism to begin with. Like it's not original. Nothing really in Warcraft is really all that original. Not doing the Halloween content? Oh, right now, in terms of what do they call it in WoW? No, I've kind of already done it. I mean, I really should be queuing to get the Headless Horseman mount, but I've been trying to get that literally since vanilla. So I'm at the point now in my journey with that like if I get it, I get it. If I don't, I don't. I really would like to get the like kind of spectral phoenix mount from the Magister's Terrace. I think is that where that one's from?
That's where that's from.
Yeah, I would like to get that one. And recently one of my friends and I, we were running it and she got it and and she's like, oh, cool. And I'm like, because I'm like such a Sindori.
You know, I got the mount that I wanted many years ago. I got the Flying Headless Horseman mount, and I was happy ever since.
Yeah, that
also,
one's like
Blood. I don't know what space sim you're specifically referring to. I don't play any space sims, but my husband loves Elite Dangerous. Like he loves that hardcore.
What are some witchy games? Like I pretty much exclusively am like a World of Warcraft like groupie. Like I love everything about it. It's nostalgic for me. I started playing it when I was like in, I don't know, junior high, and I've played it off and on since then.
I will say there are some witchy games I have that are just kind of fun and cute. There's one that I have that's called Witchy Life Story. It's kind of like a visual novel, slightly a dating simulator kind of game. I have one called Strange Horticulture, where you basically run a plant shop and you end up selling stuff to witches. There's another one called Witchwood, where you are this random little witch running around trying to solve a mystery for the devil.
That's kind of cute.
I think you would like Witchwood. Witchwood is super cute. I actually have a whole bunch of like little witchy games that could be fun to stream. So who knows? Maybe we have a gaming channel in the future.
That would be fun. I mean, I would be down. I'm down to bring gaming onto my channel too. Like, I think once I kind of like get it like figured out, I don't know if my like little um measly laptop can like handle me screen sharing and playing WoW. I highly doubt it. Um, but maybe I could, I don't know, figure something out. Um,
I love that Witch of Thorns. That sounds awesome.
the Royal Apothecary Society.
Apothecary,
Apothecary.
girl.
Apothecary.
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 I'm done. I'm
Uh,
done.
one of my good Judy Taya also a little while back pointed out that I guess like especially like instead of especially especially I don't know I don't know why.
Blood, me and my husband occasionally play Minecraft together, and we in particular like a mod pack called, oh shoot, I can't remember. It has the witchery mod in it. And of course the name flies right out of my head the moment I think of it. But it also has like the magic plant mod, which is escaping me, and then some other magic mods in it. And usually when we play, I end up doing all the magic mods and my husband ends up doing all the tech mods and stuff like that. It's cute.
So I am so down for this to the point where I have even tried bullying my own coven mates into getting on the game. Some of them I have successfully brought into this unholy land of World of Warcraft. But yeah, I love Noble Garden in the game, and I think doing like a spring equinox ritual would be sickening to have in the game. Um, I also want to say before we kind of close this live stream out that I do have a workshop coming up if anyone is interested, especially for my astrology students out there who are currently taking the beginner's astrology course that I'm teaching. I have an advanced astrology workshop that'll be coming up on November 9th. That'll be at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can check that out on Facebook under like the Third Eye Fortunes page, or you can message me on Instagram to kind of set that up and get yourself booked for that. I'll probably only be taking about like 10 people for the workshop, keeping it kind of smaller, and it will be about an hour and a half long where you'll be getting a lecture and interacting with the content live. So in a small group. So if that's something that you're interested in, advanced astrology, looking at cardinal points within a Western natal wheel, so like the IC, AC, MC, looking at like past life regressions within a natal chart, points of fortune, maybe this workshop would be for you. We're a little bit past the 2 hour mark, so I think we're gonna wind it down. I think we're gonna wind it down, babes. Estrella, thank you so much for like coming on here and you know, vibing with me and like reacting to some of this content. I'm excited to react to like maybe some content that's like not so problematic and aggressive towards like transgressive, like you know what I mean?
I would like a light subject.
Yeah, I'm excited
Something a little
for
bit more
casual.
Like
Yeah.
we can still be spooky, but like I want a lighter subject. There is, I was telling Jasmine about this earlier, not to do a Hoosier goodbye on this or anything like that.
Oh, we're doing a Hoosier goodbye.
There is a show on Hulu that I would love to have us react to, called Extreme Paranormal, because it's so bad.
You know, we also have to do the School of Good and Evil.
We do need to do the School of Good and Evil. I haven't watched it yet. I really need to watch it, but it looks
It's
so
out
good.
now, isn't it?
It is. It is out now. But yeah, we are well past the 2 hour mark. So
we're gonna close up. Thank you all. Thank you, Hellbound. Like I said, go check out Hellbound Heathens channel as well if you would like more of this sort of style of commentary, looking at crazy 700 Club-esque narratives. Thank you so much, Elle, for being here and being here in the chat. Witch of Thorns, Blood, it's always great to see you. I'm hoping to collab with Blood actually soon. You guys go check out Blood's channel as well. He does like a lot of really cool forge craft. That's really awesome. So like go check that out. It's always great to see you, Lady Blind Wolf and Sorceress. I know that Haley Hayden was in here, Gemini Cat, Nocturnal, Sorceress. Scroll into the chat. Johnny, we went basically to high school together. Like, it's cool seeing you here too. An Angel, thank you for being here. I hope to see you at the Witch Memorial on the 12th. Lady Witch. Yeah. Bohemia Aradia. It's good to see you. Of course, Sydney. That's Crafton. We had a live stream last night. Sage, good to see you. Lady Raven Moon, good to see you. Thanks for coming. Dominic, thank you again for the super chat or super sticker, whatever. I don't know. Yeah, thank you, chat. Thank you again, Australia. And we will see you guys next week.
And we'll see you.
And how?
Oh.